We're live. It's All Things 3D, special edition, late afternoon 3D in review for today. It's May Day, May 1st, 2015. We're going to open with a little video from this morning. We had Elon, the man, unveiling his Powerwall technology, you know, pretty cool battery for the home. So not really that 3D related, but I'm your co-host, Chris, and we've got Mike, who is down in Santa Barbara. Is that right, Mike? Are you there, Mike? Well, it seems that we lost Mike, but we will pick him up. I'm sure he'll join us here as soon as he can. I guess we'll get right into some of our news items for today. We wanted to talk about just kind of some of the stuff, as usual, that happened during the week. Some kind of big moves in the 3D world. Definitely Mike wants to join in. There was some pretty big stuff, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. First one for me is the MoonRay. Was on Kickstarter, another little SLA style printer, and you can check it out on Kickstarter. The MoonRay, and they claim, is the world's best desktop 3D printer. So that's kind of a bold claim, and it's kind of a cost-effective. They reached their goal of 100,000 in 2.5 hours, and so they reached their goal really fast. And yeah, so you can check it out. I think the let's see how much these printers are going for. I think they're right around $1,000. No, it looks like the printer package is about $2,500. So for $2,500, it's a new SLA printer, and it has a unique technology that's not a UV laser or a DLP projector. It's actually a specially designed UV projector of some sort, they claim in the video. And it looks like for the money, it's putting out really good little SLA prints. So very comparable. They're saying 100 micron, 100 micron resolution in the Z direction. And so yeah, you can check out some of the models. You can see the model if you're joining us on the Google Hangout or watching this on YouTube. You can definitely the video, they did a really nice job on the video. So the MoonRay, Kickstarter.com, just type in MoonRay. They reached their funding in 2.5 hours. Mike, are you there? He's not quite there yet, so we'll just move right along.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
You're there. Your quality's a little bad. Mike's down in Santa Barbara right now. He's on the streets. He was down there. And so our normal podcast, normally we would have had it this morning, but we kind of, we're doing kind of a late day one. So yeah, so I guess we'll just keep moving right through our news item.
Okay.
Obviously, there you are, Mike.
Okay. I think there's another window open up as well with me, so you can close that one.
Okay. Yeah, much better now.
Okay. Well, let's cross our fingers. I'll still have a good signal. Well, a couple of things that I wanted to bring up today is, today or a couple of days ago was Microsoft Build, which is the developers, what do you want to call it, symposium, presentations, to kind of talk about things that Microsoft is bringing out. And one of the things that, we've talked about before is the HoloLens. So they've actually presented a whole lot more. And what I'm going to do right now is jump to the video that I have. So let me do that real quick. And here we go. You ready?
Yeah. Yeah, and this was an unbelievable...
So are you able to hear that?
A little bit. Yeah, and for the for the viewers at home or the listeners at home, just pop up, go to HoloLens. Microsoft, just Google up HoloLens or Start Page or whatever your search engine of choice is, and check out this HoloLens. The stuff they unveiled this week at the Build conference was pretty mind-boggling stuff.
Yeah, this particular video is they're actually showing off how they brought the technology together. And I think it's really neat because some of the later images show what's behind that translucent shield. And it looks like there is some projectors, as well as what I thought originally is the Connect 2 sensors. And that's what's providing the, as I call it, environment awareness. Allows you to determine what distance objects are in 3 dimensions, which allows them to do the augmented reality. What is really cool about this is, and if you look at it, and we'll have links in the show notes, they have speakers built into it, but more importantly, they have it all self-contained. And in the previous demonstrations in January, I think it was, they had this particular unit put together to show on stage, but it wasn't operational. The what do you want to call it? The journalists had to go in the back, and they had a strap-on battery pack and power. To this, in the build, they actually had it being shown to both the journalist as well as on stage as a full fabricated unit, which you're pretty much seeing here.
Yeah, it's a full-fledged computing unit. It has a computer built in.
And plus it's got that new, whatever they call it, the Holo computer, which allows them to take all those sensors and use them in real time, which is very important. And since, as you know, I do some development in this kind of stuff, the latency in VR and augmented reality is very important in order to pass off the illusion of that something is actually there. And they think that they pretty much did it, and the journalists seem to show that as well. The only complaint they have is many of them hope that there was a wider field of view. Supposedly it's more like a projected image in front of you, and then if you walk outside of it, you can actually see the edges of it, so objects kind of split in half, if that makes any sense, cut in half. So it kind of breaks that, what do you want to call it, that real experience that you're looking for. But if you're looking for something that augments your vision, so let's say if you're using it for training or for medical or things of that nature, and one of the big examples, and I have another video later on that I can show off, is they showed it with using a Trimble piece of software, maybe even have it there. And what was cool about it is they showed an architectural piece being placed in a model and then modified, and then they went out to the site and worked with the person on site using the goggles. So let's say in this case, I think there was a column that shouldn't have been there, and that sounds kind of funny, but in reality that happens a lot. So to have the project manager or the construction manager there talking about it with the architect or the engineer really helps, and I think that was a great example. The sad thing is their stage presence showed more of a home type environment, and I don't really think this is where this product is going. I think medical, I think architectural, I think engineering, art, obviously.
I tend to disagree with you, Mike. I tend to think that this is going to replace the display on for most people that work on computers, which is now a significant part of the workforce is working on computers nowadays. For long periods of time. So I think anybody that's even in a clerical setting, this could optimize your efficiency, because essentially your entire environment turns into your display. So I know myself, I'm definitely on board with this thing. I can't wait to get my hands on one and try it out and kind of run it through the ringer, if you know what I mean.
Well, I totally agree with you. I want to get my hands on one of these too. There's some rumors that this thing is going to be in the thousands of dollars, which, I wouldn't be surprised at the same time. When most cell phones are in that price range, that doesn't make a lot of, I don't see that as a major hurdle. Right now they say the resolution on this thing isn't that dramatic, so I don't see it replacing the desktop device, but I do see it as, not to use the word adjunct or augment. It will augment what you have already, and I think that's the cool thing.
Right.
Okay, well, so I guess we agree to agree.
Yeah, no, it's an exciting time, and those people that want to go get a demo of this thing, you just got to head out to the video I really liked was right on Microsoft Build website. They have the keynote there. You can watch it. It's a really cool keynote. There's a couple really cool pieces of technology that came onto the forefront this week. So pretty exciting stuff. So I guess we'll move right along. My next news item here is the B3 Innovations Pico hot end. Pico hot end premium bundle is 3 nozzles and 4 mounting options became available. And this puppy can be upgraded with a 24-volt heater to go all the way up to 500 C. So that's for some serious heavy-duty materials. You're looking at like garolite and that kind of stuff. Like you want to get really kind of fancy materials that aren't even really widely available yet. This is the hot end for you. So I'm kind of looking forward to somebody that might have one of these and hearing the reviews on it, because these all metal hot ends, everybody's we'll get into it a little bit later on in the program, but yeah, these the all metal is definitely the future of hot ends. If you don't have one, it's a good time to pick one up. And if you need one, this B3 Innovations, it's a little expensive at $128, but it is kind of arguably one of the most important parts of the machine, obviously.
Well, I totally agree with you, and it actually looks well engineered. I'll have to look into it myself. Obviously, there's more and more options available, and the full metal seems to be the direction many people are going now. So maybe it'll just bring down the price, but even so, as you said, yeah, it's a little pricey, but if you're going to be doing this and you want something reliable, you're going to have to pay for it. Simple as that.
Yeah, and I know like PEEK material itself, the plastic that they use to line some of the non-all metal hot ends, is actually a desirable material for some applications in engineering. But none of the current hot ends get up hot enough. This puppy can get up to 500 C, so you might even see PEEK filament coming onto the market one of these days. So on top of being able to print polycarb and nylon and all the great high temp things. Oh yeah, so there's no PTFE and no PEEK to fail on this hot end. So pretty cool.
Yep. Okay, well I'm going to jump back to mine, but Chris, I'm going to need you to go ahead and click on my link.
You got it.
I want to talk about this crowd-funded 3D printer shipping withheld. I think that's an interesting topic. One of our listeners, Dale, thank you, Dale, for sending this to us. This is real interesting, is that if you read the article, it appears that one of the, what would you call it, the developers of the particular printer, and what's the name of the printer? Gobblebot or something like that. It was a Kickstarter, and then, like many Kickstarters, and I have one to complain about here shortly as well, there's a delay. And, I backed a few, Chris, you've backed a few, and, it's part of the game. And as you said, you're kind of taking a chance. You're hopefully backing a company that'll move forward with something. But I don't think that gives the right to the company to squash complaints or anguish. Some people, depending on how much this printer is, they have invested $8 to thousands of dollars in order to get something, and that's money that maybe they shouldn't have spent. But the problem is Kickstarter has been successful. Many people have received what they've ordered off of Kickstarter, or I should say backed on Kickstarter. And in this case, what they're trying to do is send out cease and desist letters to people who have been making negative comments. And I really don't think that's the direction to go. Hey, if you've identified a particular time that you're going to have a product done, and you don't provide to your backers why you're not going to be able to release it, I think that's the fair thing to do. Let them know that, hey, you've got delays. Be transparent with it. And most of the people are pretty patient. One thing, they've got your money, and there's not very little that you can do to get your money back. So
yeah, and if all they did was give an update, that's all that somebody could really expect, is like, hey, at least keep us informed. But when people delay between those updates, and that's what we're seeing a lot of backlash with, even like the Oculus right now. I've been noticing that same kind of thing. They've gone without saying anything, no announcement on the technology. So all these people that have backed the technology to develop it as developers, because that's what these developer kits have been, you know, they're kind of in the same boat. It's like, where's the consumer version you said you were going to bring out? And so yeah, I mean, it's a frustrating thing with the Kickstarters, because you know your money is tied up, and by the time your Kickstarter actually arrives, sometimes there's consumer products that are full on sold, you know, that are even better a lot of times, that are already delivered. So it can be a frustrating thing sometimes, but that's why you have to weigh each Kickstarter on the, you know, you have to basically judge it on the, you know, the merits of your choosing. And I usually try to look for ones that are more, I don't know, just they're more polished in a way, and they look like they've had kind of a more of a ramp up with more, just more, they've had more steam behind them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But this article, so this article, crowdfunded 3D printer shipments withheld to backers who complained about lateness. This is just kind of unacceptable in my eyes.
I agree.
And, yeah, and so those that want to check it out, it'll be in our show notes, and it's on boingboing.net, and it's just kind of about the CobbleBot. We don't want to say too much because obviously there's some legal behind this.
Yeah, well, obviously we're not going to say much. I don't think this is the direction to go. But more importantly, and I think we've got another PDF coming up. Let's see if I've got it in my notes here. If not, I do have another link to a PDF to kind of give you some guidelines on what to look for in a Kickstarter, you know, so that you don't make the mistake of backing somebody who may not be on the up and front on things, and maybe just, what do they call it, cash and carry, or I don't remember what the term is with it. Quick cashing or something. But essentially they go in, they
order food.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, duck and dash or something like that.
Something. But the whole point behind all this is that you know, you need to really evaluate it. Look at the company behind it. A lot of times if it's just a small startup, and this article is really great, and I'll make sure that's out there. It identifies a real breakdown of what it actually costs to do something. And you'll be surprised how much a lot of these companies get that wrong. So they get the money, but then they realize by the time they get injection molding, they get their boards made, you know, and try to pay themselves, that's not going to happen. And then they're hoping, well, maybe we'll get more in pre-orders, and then it just kind of snowballs. The next thing you know, you're left without a product. And a little bit later, I want to talk about my own experience, and we've actually interviewed them. So, Chris, your next item.
Awesome. So, well, I think that wraps up our kind of our news items for the week. There was obviously a lot, but do you want to touch on the 3D scanner Darkly? Maybe we could pull that up.
Yeah, let's do that real quick. Thank you. Again, I apologize, but I just want to identify that, you know, Artec, who I as a developer have kind of been competing with to come out with a low-cost version of the Artec. The Artec is kind of the golden standard when it comes to handheld scanners, and I'm not going to take that away from them. They've got some excellent scanners. They're just very pricey. Well, that's, you know, if you're looking in for an exceptional scanner, look into theirs. But the important thing here is that they have a new version of their software that not only works with their Artec scanners, but it also works with some of the less expensive, including the Asus Action, which I think you have one, Chris, and then I've got a couple. If you upgrade the firmware on, you can use it with it. What else are they? They're also working with the Connect 2, which is important. Very few can do scanning with the Connect 2. And then you get all the special tools that come with it. The problem is the Artec software has been somewhat expensive, but like many companies, they now offer a subscription pricing. And I don't know if you have that up there. I don't think they identify that anywhere on their website. But yeah, that's something to look into. Hi, Monika. How are you?
I'm doing well. Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay. Well, we were just finishing the 3D scanner area, and then I guess we can just jump right into you, Monika. As Chris may have alluded, I don't know if you've been listening or not, or my emails, I'm in actually Santa Barbara. I'm by the Natural History Museum. I was hoping to do it inside, but some red tape prevented me from going inside right now. So I'm outside with my friend here, what did I call him? Jimmy? No. Jimmy the skeleton blue whale behind me.
A little natural lighting is always good.
Yeah.
Well, it might
so
be
Monika, where are you hailing from?
Boulder, Colorado.
Boulder, Colorado, and why don't you just go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do and why you're joining us today?
Sure. Okay. Well, I direct an organization called LAN, Live Architecture Network. I have a background in architecture, and a few years ago I became involved presenting some 3D visualization work at the MedXMakers conference that happens every September. From there, I really loved the idea. For myself, I've really been after how to combine human health data into architecture. And with my experiences there, it's led way to me now being co-lead of a new initiative called MedXMakers. Last year, we organized a few panels on 3D printing and scanning. And upcoming at this Maker Fair in 2 weeks, we will be not only launching our initiative with open to the public event at Stanford, but as well exhibiting and having a number of featured guests, including Michael, explaining what our purpose is, basically trying to give access to patients, technologists, engineers, and designers of all realms, and how we can forward what the future of medical care is going to look like.
Oh, wow. Cool. Very cool. So, yeah, and for those unaware, the Maker Fair, it's just a couple weeks away up in the Bay Area. We get our West Coast version of the Maker Fair, and it's always a pleasure to go. It's definitely busy. You got to get there early if you want to be able to kind of walk around, because it gets pretty busy as the day goes on. So, but it's a cool place to be, and yeah, and so you're giving a talk there that Mike is sitting in on. Is that right?
Well, actually, there's two parts, right, Monika? There's the MedXMake, which is at Stanford, which I guess, I don't know if you'll have a booth at Maker Fair. I guess I still need to be filled in. But I think it's that Thursday we're going to be I'm giving a presentation, correct?
Yeah, so Thursday p.m., May the 14th, starting at 5 p.m., there's some networking and presentations start at 6, but we're lucky to have basically 3 speakers, of which Michael is one of them. He's going to talk about his process that he went through with his wife and how they 3D printed her tumor and how that led to better care. As well, we have BioBots joining us coming out from Philadelphia, and a local company, UNYX, Unique, and they are joining us to talk about some of their custom prosthetics. So that's Thursday p.m. It's open to the public. We do require an RSVP. So if anyone interested goes to medicinex.stanford.edu and /MedXMakers, you will be led to the RSVP.
Awesome, and we'll also tuck that into our show notes to make sure that everybody kind of can see that, especially on the YouTube side of things. It'll be in the description below the video. And so that's great. Really looking forward to that, and hopefully we'll get a live stream of that up and going, so we can. If I can't make it in person, hopefully we can join you virtually.
Cool.
I know Mike will be there, so I'll be. Hopefully, if I can't make it, like I said, I'll be there in spirit. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So should we keep going on our news, Mike?
Well, let's. Monika, if I understood correctly, not only are you providing the presentations on Thursday, but you're going to have a booth at Maker Fair as well. Is that what I understood?
That's correct. So this year there's kind of an industry night on Friday night. I think it's the first year they're doing that. And then all day Saturday, Sunday will be present. And I think also on the call now, if I'm correct, a good colleague of mine in Rome, I've just figured out that their organization is going to be represented at the Maker Fair as well, and we're looking to team up a little bit because he's bringing some great technology, and so that will really let us do some on-the-spot 3D printing of some of the initiatives that will be presented throughout the weekend.
Okay, and it looks like he's joined us, correct, Monika?
I think so. Pico, are you there?
Hopefully. Do you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
we hear you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the way
Okay.
from Rome.
Oh,
Unfortunately, I don't have an idea how to let the camera work, but you have to trust that I'm real.
yeah, there's a cog at the top of your window. If you kind of go up and click on the cog, you might be able to set your camera up that way. That's
Yeah,
kind of
it should, but it's not working. I have no idea why.
That's okay. Well, your voice is working, and that really is the important thing right now.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, hi to everybody.
Hello. Tell us your
Hello.
name and
My
what's
my name is Filippo Moroni, and I'm calling from Rome, and I'm the technical director and president of an association of companies which are it's called digital foundries, fonderie digitali in Italian. We are around 50 companies, very specialized into the high-tech and innovation stuff. We are innovative, not just for things how we do the same things in a new way, but in general also because we are inventors, makers, social hackers, 3D scanners. We work on the art stuff or web approach design stuff, and ever. And we are bringing some new technologies, which maybe we will talk later. But we are bringing to the Maker Fair 3D printers machines. Two of them. We are bringing small pieces because, of course, it's always a cost to bring stuff on the other side of the world. But two of them, it's very interesting because one, it's the fastest FDM in the world. It goes up to 1 meter per second linear,
Wow.
extrusion. So this is the fastest. Now they only to say the commercial 3D printers are going 200 millimeters. We are going up to 1,000 millimeter. So this is the WASP Turbo. We are also bringing a 3D machines which works with plaster and ceramic and pottery. So this is like porcelain,
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a very interesting machines, and the machine actually can be also the same. We just changed the extruder. So this is a very interesting machine and very precise.
Wow.
So we are bringing video because we cannot bring a 12 by 12 meter machine. This is a huge machine. It's a D-shape. It's the first machine for building to build buildings actually.
Oh.
So it's not just a printer. It's a constructor machine.
Wow.
So this is the machines we represent from Enrico Dini, which is Italian too. He's a crazy inventor, also a crazy person, but it's a very interesting project too.
Is he and he's coming out with you?
Yeah, but only for the Maker Faire, like a spot. He's a very busy man worldwide. And we are also bringing a technology we called ortotica. It's a mixed word between domotics and orto, which is the horto. It's the Monika. How can we translate the words to where the small area near the house where you have your salad, your
your backyard. We call it a yard.
The yard. Okay, so it's yard domotic. I'd say yardotic, something like. It's a translation between yard and domotic.
Yeah.
And it's a full working machines which let anyone to be able to automate completely the growing up or your tomatoes on your backyard.
Oh, awesome! So
and
decentralized food, like a food growing system.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's already tested for indoor or outdoor, for earth or hydroponic or aeroponic growing. And it works from a small grow box in the house up to hills of land, because the system is always the same. It's very powerful, and it's basically it's a platform where you can also exchange your data, where your expert can exchange the data, check and control the growing of any plants, and give the feeding, the acid, control the water. So it's not just to automate that, like 2 times per day you give water to the plants. It's like giving the right quantity to the plants when the plant needs. So it's very precise. It's very automatic.
And where can our listeners find out about your projects that are ongoing? Do you have a website?
Yeah. For the unfortunately, the most it's in Italian yet, so you have to.
Google will translate. It will be okay.
Yeah, Google Translate. Yeah.
Well, tell me your website.
Yeah. It's ortotica. Maybe it's like Monika. Where do we have to?
Maybe the main website though, the Digitali.
Okay, the fonderiedigital.org, like organization. Fonderie Digitali.
No. Digitally.
I can take
Monika, why don't you make sure that we get the link, and we'll make sure it's in the show notes, so that way we can give him a lot of information. Okay, well, let's kind of move on and talk about a few more items, and then we can kind of end it with Monika and our guest from Italy to finish up. But do you want to go ahead and talk about some VR? It looks like she texted us the link.
Here we go.
Okay, so if you want to go ahead and click on it and bring up the screen, I'll keep talking. Go ahead.
Foundry Digitally. Let me bring it up here. Oh, she brought it up.
So there's a couple of things that I'm going to put up in the show notes a little bit later, and this is getting into our VR corner in a round room. And hoping Brian would be with us, but he's busy again. He has kind of locked himself into a really super thing in New York that I'm really excited to talk about, and he's planning to come on next week. Yeah, he's an interesting guy. We've had him on before, but he's going to be doing some real interesting things in New York, and he's going to be backed by, gosh, I can't think of it now, National Geographic or something like that. So he might have a gem of an item to bring up next week. But the other things that I wanted to bring up is, another, and you'll have to bring up the link later on or just identify it. There's another VR headset by Homido, I think is the way it's pronounced, from France, and it seems very reasonable, underneath $100. Most of the nicer looking VRs are $100 plus. This one seems to be right underneath that. I've had one on order. Hopefully it'll come soon. One of the reasons is as we talked last week, I was planning to build my own, but obviously there's an expense and design time for that. But if I can just take the front plate off, remove it, and put my own Neoti mount case on it, that might be the best action to grow. So that should be coming in the next week or two, and I'll be able to give a hands-on. And the other thing is a website. What's the name of it there? Let me bring up my notes. That if you're in the VR, but you find that a lot of the stuff out there kind of sucks, there's a place called VRSE. So how would you say that? VRC? That you can go out to. They make an Android as well as an iOS app. They've got some spectacular. They don't make all of the videos themselves, but they actually go to filmmakers, and there's some pretty awesomes out there. So if you want something to use in your Google Cardboard, if you've got a makeshift plastic version like I do, I think you need to go out there. That really will show off the capabilities of at least the visuals in the movie or the theater perspective of what you can do. And again, that's VRSE, and again, the website will be in the show notes, but it's pretty easy, vRSE.com. So that's about it for our VR. My own project that I'm going to run into it before Chris gets into his, and I did bring it to me today. I showed some designs that I did in Fusion 360 and some renders. So this is the actual finished product. Can you see it?
Oh yeah, look at that. So the neodymium mount.
Neody mount.
The neody mount. It's a tongue twister, Mike.
I know.
Neody mount. I like it. I like it.
So, what makes this particular system different for the 6 and the 6 Plus is that I use neodymium magnets, or that's how I pronounce it, but I guess I should go back.
Neodymium.
Monika, you want to help me?
Neodymium magnets.
Neodymium, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. How about just rare strong magnets?
Yeah, rare.
Essentially, I use 3 of them, and it allows it to hold the occipital structure sensor firmly, or my other accessories, which is an LED light bar and soon to be a audio device, so that you can have a full complement of tools that you can use for media capture. One of the things I've added to this particular one is the bayonet lens. That's going to have some real important features soon. They have a wide angle, but I also use my 4 eyes lens system with it. So now you don't need to have a separate collar. So is that in the screen? So yeah, so that's the latest iteration. This will probably be the last design. It's somewhat loose fitting. I had another company called Sculptio. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Actually produce this one, but it seems like they have a little thinner plastic, if that makes any sense, than the one that I got from Shapeways. I don't think my design is any different than other than adding this, but I'll have to go back and look at it. But it fits a little looser than I'd like, so I need to go back and look at that if it's my issue or it's the fabrication process. And as you're aware of, Chris, unless they're spot on, you've got to take the tolerances of your manufacturer into consideration when you design these things. So that's about it from me. Chris, what do you got from your end?
We've got 3D in medicine that is always in the news every week, and this one obviously is another one of those ones that kind of just tugs your heartstrings. It's 3D printing. This is People magazine, or People online zine, I should say. Is 3D printing saves 3 babies' lives thanks to a medical breakthrough. Look at this little guy. I mean, he's just the cutest little guy. And apparently, they were able to 3D print this thing called a TBM, which is a tracheobronchomalacia. No, that's the condition that he suffers. That's not the device. But what they ended up printing was what they call an airway splint, and so you can see that here. I'll blow it up here so you can actually look at it. And it's just a little piece, and apparently it will expand as the baby grows, and it holds his airway open, him and 2 other kids at least. And this I believe was in the U.S. And
yeah, I think Michigan, if I remember correctly. Actually, if you want, let me go to my screen. I do have a video for this. Let me bounce back to it. Let's see. Don't do this at home, kids. Don't take your laptop out in the middle of the sun.
The little piece too costs about $10, and so yeah, pretty awesome.
Here we go. I've got it. Are you ready?
Yep. Oh. Oh, this is the video.
Yep.
Got it. Yeah, and we'll put the video in the show notes as well as the article is already listed there. And yeah, pretty cool. Saving lives as usual. And the doctor talking about the process, which kind of makes me nauseous. I don't know. I don't know.
So Monika, are you aware of this? Are you familiar with this? I mean, it's been in the news.
The story, yeah. I've had several people email it to me in the last week or so.
Yeah, one of the things that I found in reading over this, like I said, it's been everywhere, is that what's unique about it is that if you looked at the design, it's somewhat like a spring or a coil, which means it has the ability to expand. So as the child grows, it will grow with the larynx, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes this device important, because what they say is eventually the child will be able to sustain or prevent what is it? I guess it's collapsing, so it'll be able to have enough strength so it doesn't collapse on its own. So they're just getting it through that phase, if I read correctly. Is that right, Monika?
Sounds right to me. That's what I understood of it.
Okay.
So yeah, so I guess we could probably move on to our projects of the week. This is the time where we talk about what we're doing in the office. Mike kind of already shared a little bit of his Neoti mount with us.
Sorry, Chris. I got ahead of myself.
No, it's great. And I guess mine is, I saw last night, I actually watched, I can't believe I waited so long, Guardians of the Galaxy, right? That's the one.
You just saw it now?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And my UPS guy comes to my office a few days ago and says, "Do you know Groot from the movie, Guardians of the Galaxy?" And I had no idea. And he says, "Do you think you could 3D print me a Groot?" And so today we are Groot. Here's my Groot. He still has his support material build or beard on, which I was going to break off when we get to the Print Whisperer tip, because
good.
I have a little trick up my sleeve.
Okay, why don't you go right into it? And the reason why I'm going to accelerate things, it looks like I'm down about 1/8 of a battery on my laptop, so I may just shut out. So
all
see
right,
if we can move along.
We'll get right into it. All right, so my Print Whisperer tip of the week is try HIPS. If you haven't tried HIPS before, high impact polystyrene is what it stands for. And if you're having trouble getting things to print without warping, and you're just trying to try a piece for fitment, and you want to print a piece of art and you're kind of having trouble with your printer, I've had really good luck with HIPS. It just prints pretty well. It adheres to the bed pretty well, and isn't real finicky like some of the other stuff. It doesn't have a lot of warpage, and it really breaks away really easily. And you can even use it as a dissolvable filament. So you can actually check out Matter Hackers or whoever you buy your filament from, but I buy mine. That's just where I buy mine. And so if you can see my Groot here, can you see Groot? Mm-hmm. So he's still got he's got his eyes are kind of got support material. He's got this support beard. I just take this clam knife, I wedge it in there, and it just comes right off. And
wow.
Groot is exposed. And yeah, that's the other thing I really like about HIPS is the support material, because it's a more fragile filament. It doesn't have the elongation and the breaking point. It doesn't have the properties of ABS or PLA even. It's a little bit more fragile of a material. The breakaway it breaks away a lot easier. So if you're working on something like a piece of art that doesn't need to withstand chemicals, it's not going to be outside, or you're not looking at something that needs to necessarily be super robust, take a lot of abuse, then I would recommend HIPS, because I've had really good luck with it, and it's comparable price wise to like professional grade ABS. I know Lulzbot carries it, and Matter Hackers carry it. So it's a great material, especially when you're getting started, because a lot of times people, they get frustrated with ABS. ABS has warping problems, so you need to work on bed adhesion and all these things. All those problems you just don't have with HIPS. So I made my UPS driver a Groot for his. He has kids and they have a swing set, and so they're going to put Groot as the theme of their swing set and build up kind of a Groot themed swing set.
Very cool, Print Whisperer. Hey, I want to. I didn't think of that. So obviously that's why we have you in the Print Whisperer seat. But I want to add to that, if I may. I've been playing with that epoxy shellac or that varnish. So I'm thinking, because that's as you said, a more fragile material, if you still want some durability, you can get some of that and just coat it.
Just put it on top, right?
Yeah.
That's right. You can definitely buff it up, by adding some sort of shellac on the outside, and I mean it's still pretty strong, even at only I think I printed this with like a 30% infill or 25% infill, and it's still it's strong enough that I could break it, but I would have to work pretty hard to break it. But yeah, so HIPS is my Print Whisperer tip of the week.
Excellent. So how much does it cost, by the way?
Roll of hips
Yes.
is, well, if I go out to Matter Hackers website here, I'm on their website here, this is their high-impact polystyrene dissolvable filament, which is $39 with free shipping. Oh, and it looks like our friend has a...
Yeah, go ahead and go to him.
let me see his... trying to unmute him.
Phantom of the Opera.
Phantom of the Opera. That's awesome. Yeah, and yeah, so at $39, I mean, it's comparable even to
that's reasonable.
The less pro grades. So pretty cool. And I guess I could finish off with my product of the week. I can take you over here.
And I have one more item to talk about.
My TAS 5. My TAS 5 isn't printing right this moment. I had it printing earlier, but just upgraded to the new version 2 TAS head. So you can check that out over at lulzbot.com.
Excellent.
Yeah. So
so how's it printed?
It prints beautifully. I mean, it's essentially the same head that's on the Lulzbot Mini, and the upgrade was super simple process. If you scroll down, they even have a video that one of the users that has a great YouTube channel, X Robots, that kind of shows the outline. But everything they have, everything you need, is right on the website as far as info for the upgrade in their Oh-Hi section, and it's the upgrade I think took all of 10 or 15 minutes, no soldering, and it was just super snazzy, and gave me that all metal capability. So all metal, all good, they say.
Really?
And Lulzbot is going to be featured coming up here on How It's Made. They actually filmed a How It's Made there, and so be on the watch for that.
Cool. So make sure I get that in the show notes. All right. Well, I want to bring up one more thing, and it's kind of a disappointing thing. You know, we've had him on in an interview, and I was a backer. I spent $299 for it. And you know, Chris, you know I've been very enthusiastic about the product, and it's been over, gosh, I think it's been a year and a half now, a little more. It's going almost on 2 years. It's a product called STEM from 6 Sense. And to say that the backers are disappointed is an understatement. Some of the links I have there, and you may not be able to see them unless you're actually a backer, a lot of them want their money back, and for good reason. You know, a lot of people feel that 6 Sense was not transparent. We had him on in an interview. We felt that he answered a lot of our questions. But one of the things, if you remember in the interview, he said that he would get me a development unit, and that was about, I don't know, what was it, 4 or 5 months ago, so it never happened. So it appears that they've been running around the country promoting this particular product, but currently just failed their FCC, I can't say certification, that you go to a lab and then the lab submits the paperwork to the FCC, and supposedly this has happened twice, and I'm not surprised because the theory behind it is they're using RF to create, what would you call it, a RF deformation or magnetic field, and that's what allows you to interact in it. So they've come back and said that they've got to make more modifications, and you know, this gets back to what we were talking about on Kickstarter, and that is that you only have so much money, and where is more money going to come from? And if you're spending it on marketing and promoting, and you're hoping that your engineering is going to pass and it doesn't, where's the more money going to come from? You're going to get a lot of people upset. They're going to speak out against it. And it's really kind of sad because I think the STEM system is great. But now you've got the latest VR system from, what is it, Steam, not Steam, Valve and HTC that also does environment awareness. So you have all these other people, and obviously Microsoft HoloLens, all these people are now coming into that. And so I'm a little concerned that I may never see a product, and obviously that's very disappointing.
Ouch.
But like you said, you know, it's kind of a throw of the dice.
It's a crapshoot sometimes, you know, and you can be as diligent as you possibly can, but sometimes even established companies, they don't pull it off. So you know, sorry to hear that, Mike. So
well, and you know what? Obviously, I can't do anything about it. Let's hope that they pull through. You know, but I have a feeling that by the time this hits the market, there are going to be other technologies available that do the same thing. and you know, they're going to lose their lead, and nobody's going to buy it, and they're just going to go away, and that's going to be sad. At the same time, sour a lot of people. So
well, and so here's my cleaned up Groot. He's all cleaned up. You could
I am Groot.
We are Groot.
Groot.
That's the bottom line. That was the I think the
now you need
that
to
was
make
like the point of the whole movie, right? Was we are Groot. That was like
Yeah.
the pinnacle, I would say.
I don't know. It's not as fresh in my mind. But where's the baby Groot? Where's the baby Groot?
He's on Thingiverse, so now that's my next. That's my next. You know, I gotta print my UPS guy a baby Groot too. Maybe one for each of his kids. So pretty fun.
Okay, I'm down to 7%. So Chris, why don't you have Monika?
So Monika and I'm sorry. It was it Skiddy?
Filippo.
Sorry, way off.
With a new
Sorry.
nickname, apparently.
I thought it was like Skiddo or something. Yeah, we thank you so much for joining us on the podcast, and we look forward to hopefully meeting you at the Maker Faire coming up in just a couple of weeks. In fact, we could just finish off here by kind of going over the Maker Faire and come in, and we'll see.
I thought, may I just two more to little things?
You have to tune the dials there, Chris.
Yeah. Very fast. This is, you said, the Phantom of Opera. This is a little trick you will see in a very important American movie. I'm not saying which one, but it's with Ben Stiller, actually. And it is for Owen Wilson. We made it for him. With 3D scanned Owen Wilson, this is shaped on his face. So that's two tricks for seeing.
Very cool.
You know maybe which movie I'm talking about.
We can't really make out a lot of what you're saying. Your microphone is really bad. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Why don't you identify the movie?
It's Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson.
Oh, I know which one. It's the one that's coming out, isn't it, huh?
Yeah.
Let me put on my blue steel look.
Oh.
Nice. Well, and so we will wrap things up talking about the Maker Faire here, the greatest show and tell on earth. Maker Faire Bay Area, May 16th and 17th. Check it out. You can buy your tickets. It's coming up. Don't miss it. It's fun. So, all right. Well, thanks again to our guests, and we will see you next week on another episode of All Things 3D.
Thank you.